A super fun episode full of memes and the force. With the Genesis GV60, one of the most exclusive and most expensive compact cars in the world, the Genesis GV60 is all electric, and this one in the all-wheel drive performance version, a direct internal competitor or sister model of the Kia EV6 GT we have reviewed recently, and in a wider sense a sister model to the normal EV6 also in other versions and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. They share the technology and the platform, but they are quite different as for styling and individual features indeed. In the front here we can see, as Thomas and Autogefuehl, this GV60 closed front grille, but very sporty and seem to be open design here. But there's just the air opening right here. This is for the sensors, and this contrasting here in silver. That is carried out throughout the vehicle. Very slim integration of the headlamps. Looks pretty spectacular and definitely gets the looks because hardly anyone drives this vehicle. And when you hear the price, you will know why. Here with 4.50 meters or 178 inches, this here the GV60 is the smallest of the three siblings, EV6, Ioniq 5, Genesis GV60. This one then the shortest overall of the three. 19 to 21 inch wheels, these ones here in the all-wheel drive performance version. 21 inch wheels, the biggest available, really massive. How do they translate in comfort? Recently we had the Kia EV6 GT, and there, because there's the adaptive dampers then, just in the GT version, it was still quite okay, although there was 21 inch wheels. This one also gets the adaptive dampers, ECS, and we'll see how that one turns out in the driving part. This will be super interesting. I find also this contrast here in the lower part very interesting, and it has this feature basically that it catches the light a little bit, you know what I mean? So when there's like another car standing next to this one, you see a little bit of the color of the other car in the lower part. That's really fancy indeed. And also the contrasting wheel arches, mirrors in the camera styling. So these are not the real mirrors, but you see here, just the camera right here. Has pros and cons indeed, soon more to that, and really strong shoulders. And there we can also talk more about charging, because it gets this DC 800 volt architecture. That means just like the Ioniq 5 or the Kia EV6, this is by the way here, see here how full the battery is. That's actually quite cool as well. And then here you close it again. So the minimum charging time then, when you have the according fast charging station and the battery is preheated by like powering it out on the motorway, it can fast charge in 18 minutes. 10 to 80% state of charge. That's, yeah, alongside with the EV6 and the Ioniq 5 leading at vehicles of this size, so pretty cool. The battery capacity overall 77 kilowatt hours net, like the big batteries that are available also in the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. And the range is something, depending on temperature, now at the moment quite good, 400 to 450 kilometers or 250 to 280 miles. Will drop a little bit in winter time, but since there's a heat pump, not that much. Well, let's put it to the fast charging test. We put the battery to exactly 10%. Here you can see it. Only the lower lights are active now. And this is a proper fast charging station. Let's see how it goes. And we have driven fast on the German Autobahn, on the motorway. You've seen it directly. Went now to the charging station. So the battery is preheated. That is important. That's also the sense of it, that you do this fast charging on the motorway. Have a quick stop, and let's see if we can really score this 10 to 80% state of charge in 18 minutes. We'll now see if it really works and how much power we can get in it. Here you could see already at the peak of 223 kilowatt. That is really a lot. After 9 minutes from 10 to 50% state of charge, and still charging here at 190 kilowatts. So you see so far really good charging curve. Let's see when it drops. Well, we still have 9 minutes left. Will that reach 80%? I think it looks good so far. So between 50 and 60% charging power dropped almost in half to around 120 kilowatt, but this is being held now. So still a good charging curve. And now we are heading on to the last percent. We have almost 60 kilowatt hours put into the battery. Remember, 77 kilowatt hours net is maximum. Now we're at 57. So here, every moment it will jump to 80%. And we didn't, there it is. 18 minutes 55. That's almost the maximum possible or minimal figure there is. The maximum minimal figure, yeah, for time-wise, of course, you know. So I think overall a great result. At this moment, it's almost as good as it gets. If you're using the MacBook for an outside DJ party or something, or I don't know, need power for your center paddling board or whatever for the, you know, for the air, then you get this vehicle to load adapter. This one goes, you know, in the fast charger right there. And then on the other side, you have a normal power socket, and then you can use the devices here on the outside V2L vehicle to load for whatever you want to use it. Let's take a look at the rear and also talk about the acceleration figures. There is a rear-wheel drive version that is 7.8 seconds in the acceleration figure. Then there's an all-wheel drive model, a first one, that is 5.5 seconds in the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And here, this is in the all-wheel drive performance model at 4 seconds only. Only the Kia EV6 GT is faster with quicker with 3.5 seconds. So 0.5 seconds, half a second faster than this one, but already massive. Top speed 235 kilometers an hour or 150 miles an hour. Only for this one. The normal all-wheel drive model would be at 200 kilometers or 125 miles an hour. And we will test the maximum speed here today on the German Autobahn, the German motorway, and something fun will happen, I can promise you. Here, by the way, in the rear, massive rear spoiler, then pretty cool integration of these rear lamps here with the signature. And I really like this very obvious contrast here. This matte silver style looks so premium indeed. Yeah, you will have to pay for it at the end of the review. I'll also reveal the price of this very vehicle. Yeah, it will be insane. But there's more interesting thing to come, I can promise. Turning indicators or hazard lights in the front in this cube design, that looks really fancy, doesn't it? Well, in the rear, not as fancy in the turning indicator sensor as in the front. Maybe a little bit of missed chance here, and it's also put so low, right? Well, at least we have the additional turning indicator here on top of the side camera mirror. Ain't that cute? Well, there's this remote parking in and out function, so let's see. Oh, I want to stay on the asphalt, don't want to get my shoes dirty. Here I can also let the car get out to me. Of course, using the force here, just with my bare hands. Yes. Nice, right? Of course, this is sought for very narrow parking spots where it's somehow not possible to even access the door or something. Then you get out before and, you know, leave the vehicle, and then you put it in that very narrow spot then. So it's really cool. Hyundai, Kia and Genesis have it for a lot of models, and it's always fascinating to see, once again, using the force. This is the car key. Also looks like the styling of DS, right? You know, from the Peugeot Citroën DS premium manufacturer, but they all do it in the same styling. This is here for the remote parking function. You can let the car park out itself. And when you open the vehicle here, you can see the door handles fold out, and also here these camera mirrors. You do not have to go for them. It's an option. Or in the higher trim then here, then they also fold out. And yeah, they're interesting indeed. Here then you open it like this, and door closing sound is not the best, I have to say, but the rest of the quality of material is really nice. Leather here, and also Alcantara microfiber used here. Also how the buttons are designed and so on. So that looks pretty fancy. And this is, by the way you control then these side mirrors. Doesn't work here at this moment, but it's like controlling normal mirrors, and then you move the image on the inside. That's pretty interesting. Here we are. Zoom more details to that. Here the steering wheel looks a little bit off. I mean, it doesn't fit to the rest of the vehicle. I think it's because it doesn't look sporty enough, and the rest of the vehicle looks quite futuristic and sporty. But real buttons, and soon more of to that what all means. The seats have this very luxurious look, in this case animal skin. However, they are also available with leatherette if you want to go more animal friendly and also with less resource use and so on. But yeah, test vehicles are often equipped just high spec, even if it doesn't make the most sense. As for the seating comfort, it's actually quite decent. When you're taller, by the way, it does have this comfort function here. When I start ignition, seat goes forward, steering wheel goes down. 602 or 1 meters 89. Still some headroom left, although this is a panoramic roof. It is not to be opened completely. There's just this shade and it has an interesting function. So when you, at the moment it's opened, and when I want to close it, one more ignition step here, then it goes, it actually closes from the front and the rear at the same time, like this. Like this. So that's a very interesting function. Definitely leave some more light in, but at least you have this shade here. And the thing is here, you feel a little bit caged in. It is on length, not the smallest vehicle, but it does feel kind of small here in the front. I have to say that's the downside of it. So the ignition has to be turned on further, and then you can also move this image here. And I can do the same then with the right mirror. Also up and down a little bit, so you can maybe also adjust. Looks kind of weird, right? And you can see also that the camera itself does not move, but it's more the image recorded by the camera where you then pick, you know, like a certain slot inside the image. It also looks a little bit odd in the interior, doesn't it? I mean, you have of course one here and then the other one at the other side there. It looks a little bit weird. Would you like such a solution? Interior overview, definitely you can see here this dual screen horizontal layout, 12.3 inch, right side infotainment, left side digital instruments. The steering wheel has a, let's say, a little bit of an odd form. It's rather flat and it feels like in a big sedan or something, like from the grip here. It's not sporty at all, but so many other features are, like the boost button. For 10 seconds you get extra 20 kilowatt of boost. And on left side drive modes, then that also changes how the car reacts. Tell you more about that later. The driving part here, real buttons at the steering wheel, so great. No hashtag capacitive BS, that's great. On the right side, same thing. Here also with real climate knobs, for example, nice to have. Just here, like the vent strength is in the, but that also gives you a haptic feedback in a way. That's actually quite cool. And we still have a lot of hotkeys to access the car into a map, for example. That's really nice. Zoomer to the infotainment. You can either use the touchscreen, or you can also use here in the lower part this turning knob, and that gives you also a very nice quality feedback. Here also a manual volume jog, that's cool, or a tune jog. And then very obvious here this crystalline ball that is at the moment does do nothing but looking good, but when we switch off the light we can even better see what that does. This crystalline ball here looks amazing, especially at night here in the basement garage. Look at that. And then when you put in the drive mode, when you hit the start stop, there we go, it turns around, and then you can put in drive mode, reverse or neutral, and you see here also the color changes. So these are really beautiful details. Yes, it has some kind of, let's say, complication with that, but it does look fancy. What do you think? Are you team fancy or team less complicated?
Could be a Pokemon ball.
A Pokemon ball, says Michelle. More special features here. The glove box doesn't fall down, but you can slide it out actually. Interesting. Then here, USB chargers, USB-C. A lot of space here. And then there's this, you know, empty middle tunnel. And you can see here that goes all the way around from the rear. Hello. So this lower middle console, you can shake hands with your rear passengers when you're stationary. So very interesting open concept. And on top of that, more details. Here you also have cooled seats, heated seats, and here more space underneath. The passenger seat also has the so-called gentleman's function. Shall we gender that? Gentleman / gentlewoman's function. Then we can also control from the driver's seat the co-driver seat. And the third button here, that is for this lying seat function. So you can even activate that one from the driver's seat. You have to see, sometimes you have to press it a couple of times and then it does work. And yeah, you know, when you can activate this one here from the driver's seat, let's say, let's go a little bit further. Yeah, like this. I would say you can play around a little bit with this feature, can't you? Well, this looks impressive, right? And well, you can also do other things in this vehicle with this special function here, right? I love this feature. We also know it from the Ioniq 5, this relaxation seat, and it works with both seats actually, and it really relieves stress. And Well, not only that it works for the maybe like a car cinema or something. Talking about cinema. Luke, I am your father. Oh, we're at the infotainment system. So here we see we have some EV gauges here, for example, for the rest projected range and so on. And more about the range figures also already exterior and also later while driving with consumptions. It's very interesting, the whole visualization of that thing. We can also here, for example, select everything in the infotainment system, what we want to do with the seat as well, but not sure if we would really do that. The car internal GPS is weird, as we know from Kia, Hyundai and Genesis. It has this strange grappling hook effect always when you pinch and zoom in the map. Not sure if you would really use it actually, but everything seems quite fast. And most of the time, of course, you will use the smartphone integration, and that is nicely done here. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto with cable connection. I do prefer the cable connection, by the way. And the Bang & Olufsen sound system has a great 3D surround here, so for music lovers, perfect. Here the digital instruments. It's a realistic consumption figure, by the way, also, and you can see here the elapsed range together with the projected range left also fits then 4 kilometers or 250 miles. And you can also have some other views here, like this is pretty cool, right? You have the front view camera then in your digital instruments. That's unusual and pretty cool indeed. Or this assistance systems view, also the map, the GPS view. And when you hit the turning indicators, sorry Michelle, then you can also see here left or right is another blind spot feature. Of course, it makes more sense in a car where you don't have these monitors anyway, but still this is an additional thing that appears. Rear doors here. See, they open, it's actually okay, the angle they are opening. Nice materials also at the inside of the doors. More sound speakers here from the Bang & Olufsen system. And you can see here, it's not the longest vehicle, but at least it has a flat floor. So using that EV platform. And then also the same seat styling for the rear. The question is how much space there is. Let's find out. Shoe tab. And when I'm driving, see here still space left. There is more space in the EV6, for example. I recently had that, but still for 4 tall Ls, no problem. Headroom wise also works. Here, by the way, a nice manual shade. It wasn't me. So this is really like very closely. That's like it's not too much space here in between. Let's move to the middle seat, which is a little bit stiffer. Come on, really? Yeah, that works. It's again quite stiff to sit here from the bolstering, but it works space-wise at least. Then, so for 5 tall Ls there is space, and here couples, they're not adaptive though actually. And well, you can't do anything with a bench here. And folding the seats, there's also no possibility here, in the top part, but here in the lower part, you have this lever, and with that you can either fold the whole thing, but you can see you can also change the angle. Here there's a real power socket underneath that rear bench for a MacBook or something. This trunk lets you connect with the force.
Seems like a force delay.
Force delay. There we are. So this is the function that you just stand behind the vehicle when you have the key in your pocket. Pretty cool. A meter or 40 inches in width and 90 centimeters or 35 inches in length. And the height is about here 70 centimeters or 28 inches. So still well usable, not too large. This one wobbles around here a little bit. The seat folding mechanism from the rear area. And here, for example, they have put, this charging cable box, and it's basically glued to that was just one of them, so it's really sticky here. Interesting. And underneath here you have a little bit more space. By the way, do you think that the Genesis logo resembles the Bentley logo? Some say so. Would like to hear your take on that. And then, is there a frunk or not? Yes, there is a frunk, really good. And then also good quality here, when you open that one, it stays up like this. So this flap here stays up like this, so it's really relaxing, this function. And you can put some things in here, also a charging cable if you don't want to use the rear space for that. And the funny thing is, indeed, the Korean manufacturers, they always include a frunk. And all the German manufacturers, they never include a frunk, besides the Porsche Taycan, which obviously is a Porsche and has this frunk heritage, and therefore also the Audi e-tron GT. But all the other, let's say, normal German EVs, they don't have a frunk, but the Koreans do. Why would that be? Thomas's EV driving lounge today with the Genesis GV60. This is the sister model of the Kia EV6 GT. 4 seconds instead of 3.4 seconds. 4 seconds instead of 3.5 seconds. So 0.5 seconds difference is this one is slower. But we put it also in the sport mode, and for 10 seconds we can activate a boost, then we're even faster and then closer to the EV6 GT. From 40 kilometers an hour, boost mode, let's go. Woo! 150. And 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Great acceleration, it goes even further. Let's do this. German Autobahn here. Whoa, what's that noise? Now 230 kilometers an hour. That's a strange noise, right? Whoa. Have you heard that noise? What was that? Was it like a high-speed warning or something? Or was it like beep? Strange. Never heard something like this. That was strange, right? But good high-speed behavior. Suspension doesn't shake up at all. Good here also recuperation and the, when you have exceeded that, need more braking power, then the rear brakes are being applied. So awesome acceleration indeed. But that noise was like, almost like, hey, don't drive that fast or something. Really strange. Have you guys any idea? Gotta scroll back and hear that again. That was, and we on the way back we can accelerate one more time. One more time, and then we we're gonna accelerate. Yeah, and then check it again. Oh yeah. Now a little bit slower. Go back to eco or comfort mode. There's this electronically controlled suspension in here. So this is the adaptive suspension that's also built in the EV6 GT. And in the comfort mode, it's a little bit softer. Sport mode's really rough. And the general setup here, I feel, is even stiffer than in the EV6 GT. 21-inch wheels here also. And I think the setup is even a little bit too stiff, I feel, actually. Here now, in the tunnel, we can see some, see the instruments, ambient lighting around here and here, also the inside of the doors. And of course you have these, these screens. I'm not sure if they flicker on camera. Here at the moment they also flicker on the rear eye because of that the light frequency here in that tunnel. Yeah, about these digital mirrors while driving. For a digital mirror solution, it's quite good because they're really large. You can see very well what's happening and you don't have a blind spot. That's on the pro side. On the con side is, when I compare it also with the normal back mirror in the top there, a normal mirror gives you a three-dimensional image of your surrounding. And these monitors, they do not. It's two-dimensional, it's just the fake of a 3D image, basically. And that's, to me, the dangerous thing. Yes, it doesn't show a blind spot, so you have a good view, and it's also not low down like in the first Audi e-tron. So it's a good solution on the one hand, but I still prefer classic mirrors because, again, in combination with all the three mirrors, you have in your head a three-dimensional image of your surrounding, and you know the distance. And here, when you look at these screens, you don't have, let's say in the perceived quality, a sense of what the distance is. That's my point, So you can get used to it, and when you are getting used to it, of course, you're getting better in the estimation. But now, for example, when I compare what I see in the back mirror and the rear mirror, and then the car approaching, it's good, you know. So it's the best digital mirror solution I've seen yet. The most convincing one, definitely. I'm not 100% convinced that it's actually the better technology. Yes, it's better aerodynamics on the outside, but not the largest difference. Yeah, so not 100% convinced, but definitely well done for such a solution. Let's take it that way. And I'll also update you if I have something that is, you know, even more. There's also this, as like a blind spot warning, like a red triangle, by the way. It's like an additional thing that is also well done indeed. So here in the comfort mode, again, the suspension is too stiff, I feel, together also with the 21-inch wheels. And I thought maybe, shouldn't the EV6 GT be the sportier setup? And this one here more like this luxury, sophistication, comfort thing, and a little bit less sporty. Okay. Talking about less sportiness, as for the consumption or energy efficiency. So you can, in summertime here, score some 17 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. It's like 27 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And if you accelerate out a little bit more, or maybe have a little bit worse temperature conditions or something, moves more like 19, 20 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, or like 29 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And for good conditions, that ensures us an electric range then of 450 kilometers or 280 miles. That's decent, that's really good. And maybe in a little bit worse situation than 400 kilometers or 250 miles. And this also does come with a heat pump, so we don't have too severe losses in winter times. Of course, there are always losses for range, but they're not too bad. Cruise control here at the steering wheel with real buttons. That's good as for the interface, and also that I can change the temperature while driving in a very easy way with real buttons. Not all over the place with hashtag capacitive BS. Actually, hardly any here. That's a good thing, and this also carried out through all the Genesis models, that they still give us real buttons, and especially while driving here, so nice to control. Now I'm not sure if you can see it on the left monitor, there's a car approaching, and there should then be the next warning. See, there's the triangle. When I hit the turning indicator anyway, then I also get an acoustic warning, so that's another step. And you've maybe also seen in the instruments, that's also quite cool. When I set a turning indicator, then there's also the visualization in the digital instruments here. There we go. So this is another system that helps us. Is it maybe too much? I don't know. Is the acceleration too much? Let's find out. Boost mode, once again, sport mode from 90 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Oh, it's a sudden punch. 170. Wow. 200. This goes like a rocket indeed, and wow, great. There's this sound again at about 220. I think it's like a high-speed warning or something, right? It's really weird, right? Wow. That thing is indeed like a very sporty setup, and well, explosive. Here, of course, a lot of wind noise also at higher speeds, but at normal motorway speeds, I mean, where would you do that here like this? It behaves very well also as for noise insulation. Here, for example, dropping it to 130 kilometers an hour, like 70 miles an hour, also reasonable noise insulation and so on. Here at 120, really silent, so you feel that this is a premium car, and also all the build quality and the ride quality is really good. As for the seats, I think they're not too bad, but I'm not too happy for them for tall people. Especially here with the animal skin cover, it also gets quite hot indeed. Yeah, Michelle agrees as well. And Michelle is not as tall as me, and he's also not too satisfied with the driving comfort. Overall, I feel while driving this vehicle, it's not a large vehicle, you know, and you pay a lot of money, but on the inside, when you feel it, when you drive it, it doesn't feel like a big sophisticated vehicle, you know what I mean? It feels sophisticated in all the execution, especially on the interior. We have a lot of fancy features, but you rather feel like you would be driving a smaller vehicle because you're enclosed quite a lot here while sitting here. So I would have expected a little bit more space on the interior, especially already with the driver's position here. There are 2 electric motors here in that vehicle. You know, there's also the rear-wheel drive version, and there are 2 all-wheel drive models. This one here being the top all-wheel drive model, also with that boost here. And still getting around here, it's, you know, how it feels from the axle distribution, pretty equal. You know, you get a typical all-wheel drive feeling because you have 1 motor per axle then in this case. And when you go for the not so strong all-wheel drive model, even in this case, then the front electric motor is a little bit stronger. So that's a little bit, depends on the philosophy then from manufacturer to manufacturer indeed. Here, as for assistance systems, setting cruise control at the steering wheel, and then there's also this active steering assistant. Let's see if it gets activated. Here we go. And here also on the countryside road, lane is being kept indeed, and see also rather smooth steering movements here. And recuperation, this is very interesting indeed. So we have different modes here. We can select it. Why is it not being met? Because the cruise control. So hit the brake once and then cruise control is deactivated. So here I can go to level 0, then the car is just rolling. When we leave the throttle, it's just like... Then I can go level 1 here with the pedal, level 2, level 3, up to max I pedal. And I pedal is this 1 pedal driving, maximum recuperation. And then when I leave the throttle, strong deceleration indeed. Whoa, yeah, still in sports mode. So in sports mode, the throttle input is so harsh, it goes like... So you have to also watch your passengers that they don't get sick.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. Nice. So back to the recuperation thing. So 1 pedal driving feel, you can pick it, and the very strange thing here is manufacturers are telling us all over and over again, when you restart the vehicle, it has to be always in 1 specific mode because they are doing this consumption cycle in that mode, the homologation, so it's called. So it always has to be 1 mode, and they have to decide for 1 standard mode, and then you can always choose it. And the strange thing here is, when you have the I-pedal mode, the maximum recuperation, or 0, the rolling mode, that doesn't work to be saved as your standard setting. However, when you go in level 3, 2, or 1, these are being saved and are being... It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I let that go a little bit of time, you know. I think when people don't react after a second, you don't always have to horn immediately. I mean, whatever. Yeah, but the guy behind us did the work then for us. So when you have level 3, 2, or 1, it stays in that mode when you start up the vehicle the next time. And I wonder, why are all the manufacturers telling us they can't do that? And now there's one that's doing it. I don't get it. Or maybe it's the homologation difference between 3, 2, and 1 not that relevant, but it is for the max I-pedal and for the 0 rolling setting. It's also not that logical, you know. Why can't I then save or have all settings as preset, but just the one in between? Yeah, I was wondering about that. Sometimes strange things happen with new vehicles here. It's good to know. And which one is the best mode? It always depends. I'm not sure if you always want to use the pedals and change it. Maybe when you're driving down a longer steep hill, then it makes sense to go for bigger recuperation, and the car does the job by that, and you don't have to use the brake pedal. That might be more convenient or so. Maybe you're a fan of, what the hell is this guy doing? I think it's the horning guy. Now he sees like he's 50 kilometers an hour, and on this road, the police are frequently doing radar control. I mean, I've seen him here like 5 times doing the Blitzer game. In Germany, we call them Blitzer. Listen and repeat. Blitzer. like speed camera. Speed camera is blitzer. It's like, you know, like lightning something. That's the direct translation. No, it doesn't have anything to do with the blitz. When that guy obviously we are well overtaken and take the next blitzer for us. There we go. Okay. Well, good thing that they have their phone number on the back of the vehicle, so feel free to call them. Okay, Mr. Bond, I will now occupy your telephone with a lot of viewers calling you. Sorry about that. Now, the guy answering the phone in the company, don't do it, please don't do it. Poor guy at the telephone, doesn't have anything to do with those guys, definitely. Back to our review. Yeah, I mean, the overall driving feeling is pretty cool indeed. Besides the fact that I feel I would need a little bit more space on where I'm sitting and space around me here. Really sporty driving character, a little bit to steer from suspension, and we still have one more category to go because we want to approach the great winding corners, see how much sportiness there is in the vehicle. Performance acceleration wise, we've seen that, yeah, super impressive. And did we really feel, I mean, we just did the EV6 GT like 2 weeks ago. Did we feel a significant difference in acceleration? A little bit, maybe, like this 0.5 seconds. Yeah, you feel that. If you haven't watched the EV6 GT episode yet, we will also, of course, link it in the pinned comment in the video description and also at the end of the video in the video overlay, so you can click on that. All right. Now, one more time in the sports mode. Let's see the winding corners. Whoa, that accelerator pedal is so harsh that the reaction. Steering setup is really nice, by the way, pretty direct. Oh, watch the birds, definitely. However, you have to steer quite a lot. It's not too progressive. The sports mode, a little bit more reaction. Yeah, the acceleration out, that is really great. And yeah, I really feel the suspension setup is stiffer than in the EV6 GT. So here now, left corner here. Yeah, these, tires, pushing us outward. I mean, there is some weight from that EV acceleration out. They don't have, let's say, not the sportiest acceleration out feature here, so it's more balanced between that all-wheel drive. So I would like a little bit more rear wheel bias for that. That would be cool. There is one more possibility. You can put this car into the drift mode when you are on closed roads, not on public roads. So it also offers a drift mode like the EV6 GT does, and then you would have that rear wheel bias. Yeah, but for most situations in everyday driving life, of course, you would not do that actually. Overall, quite impressive ride with the minus of this, should have been a little bit more comfortable for the whole Genesis concept, I think. And the sportiness, definitely great with acceleration, but I would like a little bit more rear wheel bias also in the all-wheel drive mode, definitely. But yeah, a super fancy vehicle, definitely. Maybe some things too fancy, but yeah, here for example, but at least on the other hand, we still have real buttons, which makes it still good to control. But at that price, really harsh for 84,000 euros as this vehicle stands here now. Really? Well, you can compare the Kia EV6 GT, it's a little bit less expensive. Or maybe also, if you go for the Hyundai Ioniq 5, there's also another sister model.